Are you a green witch? Let's find out. Along the way today, I'm going to share a few other special things too, which I think really express the life lived by a green witch. If you share some of these ideas, it's likely what makes your magic sing. Thus, you're a green witch too. One day, I looked around me and I said, I can make that. I can grow that. I can find that. I can take care of that. I can dream that. I can manifest that because I am the Wild Woodland Witch. I'm Heather Lynn, if we haven't met before, and if you're new here, you are most welcome. If you've been watching for a while, I thank you, and if you're not a subscriber yet, feel free to give my work a try by subscribing, clicking the notification bell to hear from me weekly, and click the like anytime during this video if you feel inspired to do so. Some people don't really connect to labeling their witch life, and I was one of those witches, but sometimes finding a tribe and tools of the trade that work best for one, this is one way of fitting into a mold that can be somewhat of a help. But you can be whatever kind of witch you like, and you can change the kind of witch you are as you grow, and that's what's so beautiful about being a witch. For example, I'm a green witch, but I use a good amount of hedge magic in my practice, and some other forms of magic too. I'm not religious in my witch life, but I'm very spiritual. I celebrate the Sabbaths and honor nature, so you can see that there are many different choices of the kind of witch that you can become. And at first it could be overwhelming or freeing. It really just depends on how you choose to see this life. Let's begin. I hope some of these ideas help you on your journey, whether you're a green witch or you use green witchery in your craft. Number 1, you are in love with plants, and you likely have a garden or keep plants indoors. Or you have an extensive apothecary where you keep lots of different kinds of plant parts. You love to work in the natural world, and you can feel the energy coming from the plant realm. When you work with plants, you feel a sense of calm. You feel enlivened by their presence. You may even talk to plants, dream of plants, or long to be a gardener. Being around plants can change your feelings, usually bringing joy and calm. Gardening is no easy feat, but she is a living force, and that is why I garden. She is a collective of plant energy growing and evolving soil. Being part of this evolution that is the garden is like nothing else I can explain. I get so close to the needs of plants. I water daily, observe the land, and I get to use the bounty of the harvest for food, medicine, and witchcraft. I personally use very little plant parts in my spell work, and that is because I do believe that the plant itself should be used more for medicine or food. But I do add little bits and bops of plant parts, as I believe it is the energy of the plant that does the work, not the plant herself. So the plant bits really just represent the energy of the plant that I'm calling upon. And in my workings as a green witch, because I am so connected to these plants, a little dab will do you is my motto. I'm having a moment just out of the sun. It is so hot. Of course, I decide to do some magic and gardening when it's 85, 90 degrees and very humid, but we're taking breaks and it's just so marvelous just to prepare my garden. It's so late this year, but I've been so busy just crafting and harvesting in the woods. It's kind of hard to balance the two, harvesting in the woods, drying herbs, gardening, setting everything up. It's just, you know, it's a chore, but it's amazing. And I'm the kind of person who needs to like be called to the work, and I can't I wish I could sit down and plan, and I do attempt, but I will say that I'm very led by my emotions and by nature and whatever, I just feel it when it's time. And it's a great life, it's a great way to live, but it can sometimes feel very prison oriented, in the sense that I often feel I'm obligated to follow what spirit tells me to do. And I don't know if that's probably a terrible way to look at it, but I do sometimes feel like a lack of control. which is, natural for me as a natural witch. And I feel very like beheld to the forest and the natural rhythms and the natural cycles of life. And that's just the kind of witch I am. So, number 2, you believe in plant medicine, natural living, or eating natural foods. In school, you might have done really well in science, particularly natural sciences, and you love fruits, vegetables, and plant food. You can feel the energy in the foods and medicines that are crafted with nature. You may be an herbalist, aspire to be an herbalist, or read about herbalism. If you already practice spellwork, you often reach for plants to add their energies into your practice. You collect lots of bottles and harvest plants for magic and medicine purposes. So let's make a quick love tincture, or looking at it from another point of view, a red clover tincture. If you're a green witch, you likely see your tinctures as both medicinal and spell-oriented. They possess both chemicals from plants and energies from plants. I harvested this red clover, washed her, dried her a bit, and added her to a bottle where I filled the bottle with 80-proof vodka. After 4 weeks, she is complete. Red clover is a hormone fixer, and if you want a boost, oh boy, she's there for you. I often put a rose quartz on top of this tincture as it marinates. My rose bush actually bloomed a few days before I made this tincture, so I went ahead and added some of her too. Rose is such a good romance magic moment. She is so healing to the heart, and she opens up the heart to love. Number 3, you have an affinity for nature and the natural world. You love animals, and you likely spend time in the woods collecting the energies of the forest, streams, oceans, or deserts, whatever landscape you live in. Even in the middle of the city, you find a small patch of land and relish in the little nuances of every single living force of nature, including animals. You love animals so much, and you likely have pets, but always talk to worms, bees, and other animals around you. Beekeeping is not truly a sign that you are a green witch, but wanting to care for the natural cycles of the earth, this is a sign. And using byproducts of that exchange is in a green witch's nature. For me, I use bee magic in my spellwork, honey and wax in my medicine crafting, and bees are just magical to me. And so here are some moments from my experience being a green witch beekeeper. I think you can see the way I feel about bees and how I work with them as slightly different. When I am with the bees, I am learning from them about life. I'm using what I learn as I take this into myself, and this pours into my medicine and witchcraft. The unity of the bee is what I lay reverence to. This queen and all these amazing men inspire love in me, and their unity is just, it's only something that you can feel when you work with them. They are magic themselves. They live in full intuition and drive. They are crafty, clever, and the energy that they process as a hive is just amazing. The more I learn about bees, the more I am in awe of how nature can work together, how a colony can work together, how intricate Mother Earth has crafted all of this amazing life force that fits together like a puzzle. It was about an hour and a half. That's a pretty long amount of time, and that's because I'm a witch and I'm taking in different energies, so that takes time. I'm doing manifestation while I'm doing my work. That takes time. And then I'm also observing a lot of activity, and I'm a new beekeeper, so it does take time. I mean, going in, this is their hive, this is their place, you know? I try to be respectful. I try to go really super slow, but there are a lot of them. When you're maneuvering things, sometimes with your big gloves, these gloves are kind of wonky, but as a newbie, I kind of feel like it's the best choice for me to continue to wear them until I feel more comfortable. When I'll be at that phase or stage. But I wanted to show you what I found when I finished, which I just want to highlight the magic that's happening. I found this amazing pile of mushrooms, which I'm going to go plant ID right now. And it happened, you know, just sort of right at the end of my experience with them. And to me, it's like, it's almost like this sign, an exchange. That's what I felt when I picked them intuitively. I see mushrooms as magic. So they're like another symbol of mine. I see 11s and 10s and 22s and 10s and 2s are like my combinations, and I see double digits, and I'm sure a lot of you feel, you know, experience that too as witches. But you know, the mushrooms popping up at just at that moment of like completion, feeling like, okay, the work is done. They can rest and they can recover from what we just did. I intuitively felt like they needed more space. I've been noticing a lot of activity at the front of the hive, and so I wanted to add another box. And this is pretty much as much space as they are gonna get. This really is typically how big a hive should be. If you give bees too much space, that can cause some issues. Bees are very spatially aware. They're very spatial conscious. They build wherever there's space, and they like to pull in the energy so that that oneness that they're feeling, is that unity is all in there. There's so much to observe and learn, and it's so self-reflective for me, because I don't know, just animal medicine in general, spending time with a particular animal, learning about them, and then letting that reflect into the humanness that I am, is really very self-revealing, and I just love that. So beekeeping is for me. I love it, and I feel like it's, you know, made my life even more magical. It's such a witchy thing to be a beekeeper. Number 4, you are most open to receiving guidance from your source or spirit, whatever you call that which is life force, whether religious or spiritual to you, when you eat plants and dabble in kitchen witchery. So today we are making a glorious midsummer fruit salad, and I decided to make this salad as a living spell that I could eat, but also to use the seeds from this batch of fruit in a spell I am crafting in my cauldron. I will leave the spell below for you and the recipe to this salad along with my notes. The spell is an abundance spell for both the infused, delicious, and sunshine-filled fruit salad, as well as the seed magic I crafted in my cauldron with some incense and a green candle for money and fuel to drive a current project I am working on. I also used a bit of honey to add to both spells, just a drop in the cauldron and a tablespoon in the fruit salad. This represents my exchange with the bees, and I infused their drive into this salad. Number 5, when you garden indoors or outdoors, you pick new plants that aid in your practice for herbalism, spell work, or some kind of energy work, and you likely choose perennials because you see the land as sacred and want to care for her long term. Flowers aren't just pretty things to adorn the yard with, although they are very beautiful. They have a place and a purpose, and you usually want those plants to grow on their own and be part of the natural cycle of life. You likely love the warmer seasons best because your tools of the trade grow readily, and if you don't garden, you likely harvest plants from a local forest. There are so many more nuances of being a green witch, but these are pretty strong signs that you're a green witch already. And if you're here and you're feeling like that's the case for you, whether you knew that about yourself or you just realized it now, it's lovely to meet you, and know that I am here for you should you ever need support. There's always room for comments, and there's also room for you on my Instagram. And there are so many other great green witches on social media and here on YouTube. And if you're a new witch, I will link a few of my favorites below. I'm so happy you joined me today. Blessings to your magic, and as always, my dears, come and find me again.